Hello and welcome to another Tech Articles. In today's article, we're going to look at Fluent Support and specifically piping emails using FlowMattic to Fluent Support. And we're going to talk about a solution that I've been working on to make this as seamless as possible. Now, this isn't publicly available. I have passed the details of what the functions do to FlowMattic support, so hopefully in the future we will be able to get this as a native FlowMattic integration. But it is totally possible to pull your emails via IMAP using FlowMattic and have them appear in Fluent Support using the native Fluent Support API for email ingestion. So I use Desk for my support tickets in general, and I'm pretty happy with it. But it always pays to have a backup, and B, I bought Fluent Support when it first came out, and recently they've released 2.0, which is a significant improvement on the previous iteration. It looks better, it feels better, it runs better. I've had a lot less problems in my testing with it. So that for me was a reason to see if I could use Fluent Support. And one of the issues I have with Fluent Support, and one of the reasons I'm using Desk, was because it has no shortcut integration. But one of the plugins I've been working on is a shortcut integration for Fluent Support to allow me to see licenses and orders, etc. as well. And I've done okay with that. So I wanted to see if I could deploy Fluent Support. So this video goes you through what I looked at, what I found, and will show you the final solution. And so FlowMattic has for a long time now had a IMAP email ingestion facility. And it works by basically connecting to your email box on your own server in your own account and pulling your emails in and pulling that data into FlowMattic. And you have been able to create a support ticket using the create support ticket function in FlowMattic and other such tools for a long time. But the problem I've had with that is it's the little things that make that not the best way of doing this. And that's stuff like merging tickets together and adding replies to the original thread. The code in Fluent Support is very good at that. It was designed to do that. But when you make a ticket, you have to find the original ticket, and the match isn't as there's no code to help you match them. You match via ticket ID or ticket or thread ID or one of those, which makes it more difficult to get them to match up. And there was every time I tested that, there was some level of disassociation. But with the integrated email piping from WP Managed Ninjas, there's actually none of that. And that to me means that if we can hook into that pipe, then they will handle all of that decision making in their code. And the better that code gets, the better your decision making is in. And I hadn't been able to do that for a long time. I tried all sorts. I looked at the code, but there's thousands of lines, and without working out exactly where they were sending their emails, that was impossible. And then I stumbled across this as a self-hosted email ingestion tool that uses Amazon, and you could deploy it yourself. And it gave me this, which was the first step in this puzzle. This allowed me to turn on something to enable a custom pipe, which means it must be giving me an endpoint. And that is true. It does give you an endpoint. So if I go back to WordPress, and if we open Fluent Support and our inboxes, if we go into email piping, you'll see down here, we get a ingestion where we can send the payload to do email piping. And this was the missing step for me. Once I got this, worked out where this went to in the code, I was able to construct a relatively good idea of what that API data looks like and what it needs and how it works. And after a couple of iterations, I had it pretty much working exactly as I wanted. So if we now head over to FlowMattic, you'll see just how simple this is as an ingestion. Now it's all worked. All of the power lifting really is happening here. And what this function does is it takes the data from here and builds it into the exact response that the API wants. So this is a standard email ingestion. Then we take any media and store it. Then we pass it over to the function here, and we pass a lot of information over. This is the information that it expects as part of the API, but it expects it in a certain format, in a certain way, particularly around media imports. And what this does is it takes that data and returns it as a test, as a single payload that we can then deliver to this API, which is exactly what it is. We have this here. We have our payload, and it's directly delivered to that API. Then we iterate through here. We're basically iterating through media, and we're going to delete that media from the WordPress library. And the reason for that is because when it comes in, it goes into media library. When it goes through the API pulls it through and puts it through wherever the Fluent Support requirements are. So you'll end up with two copies if you don't delete it. So we iterate through until we've deleted all the applicable media, and then we end that ingestion. And it's that simple. So let's show it in action. I'm going to go to Fluent Support, and currently there are no tickets here. And I've set up a dummy email account called Support Desk at Tech Articles. And this is an ingestion test. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open another tab and get some Lipson. And I'm just going to generate myself some. And I'm just going to copy one in here. I'm going to then grab a image from my desktop. When it opens, I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to drop that in here. Oh, I didn't copy it. Copied that. I'm going to drop that in here. So that's that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some more text. I'll just grab some of this and put that down here. And then I'm going to make a couple of attachments. So if we go to my desktop, and if I select this one and this one and this one. So we've got three attachments attached to this one in line, and I'm just going to push send. So now the way ingestion of email works is it's not instant, it's run on the cron. So we won't know until it's been processed, until either we get a notification here or we get a new ticket in here. And that could take, I think this is on this particular installation is on a 2 or a 3 minute cron. So it could be up to about 4 minutes before we get an ingestion. We'll know that it's worked because we will get a notification here, and we'll get a new ticket in the unassigned tickets. So rather than make you wait for that ingestion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to FlowMattic, and we're going to go to the history, and you're going to see here that the last one was actually just now, so it's just done it. And here you go. This is telling us that they've received the email we just sent in. So we're going to go back to Fluent Support. That was quicker than I was expecting it to be. And we're going to look. We've got an unassigned ticket now. And if we open this, we get what we sent, which was some Lipson, an attached image, and some Lipson. And you'll notice we have 4 attachments because this one gets attached as well as our 3 actual attachments. And we can open these as we would any normal attachment. And equally, we can reply to this. and they will get a copy of that reply. Now, obviously, you need to set up your emails, etc., on your installation. But they will get a reply to their ticket, which has now come through, and that's come through. And if we wanted to reply again, we could say, and let's say we want to do another attachment just for fun with this domains again. And that is what we've done. We've just sent a reply saying that was really helpful and attached our domain text. Now, again, that won't be instant back to here because it requires our emails to be pulled through FlowMattic. But as I said, that's on about a 2-minute cron on this particular installation. So it should happen within about 2 minutes of that happening. And if I go to history, you see it, we haven't had it now. So I'm just going to pause the video until we get the history show up that it's been ingested. So ingestion has now happened, and you'll see here that we've had a run. And if we go to Fluent Support and go to our tickets, you'll see that we have had a response that says this was really helpful and it's attached to our text file. So it works exactly as you'd expect. It's all handled by FlowMattic coming in and out. And when I was in the history, you would have noticed that there's a variable amount towards the end of this ingestion. And that's because we're going through and deleting our media. So if we go to the media library, you'll see it's empty. And that's because we are removing it and letting Fluent Support take over the media. But we needed it in the media library for the few seconds that ingestion was happening to allow it to find that information. And that's basically how this works. So in our emails, we have our emails coming in and ingestion. We can reply to them as normal and they can reply back, and it will automatically pick up that thread and do that. There's no complicated matching because we're letting the API, the ingestion API, take that for us. Down here you'll see that I have a little shortcut icon, but this user doesn't actually have any orders with shortcut. Just thought I'd share that it is entirely possible to work natively with Fluent Support ingestion using FlowMattic. I hope you find this video useful. Thanks for watching.